I came back to Trinidad, my wife and I. Scotty, you did help me with girls. I got married to Leslie. She's here. My wife and I came back to Trinidad 10 years ago after living in the United States, East Coast United States, for over 18 years. I came back because I had a dream of a Trinidad and Tobago that I saw through the eyes of an innocent boy. A paradise, an all-inclusive society where every creed and race indeed found an equal place. A safe society. We used to roam the hills of the Northern Range, all my friends, for days. Our parents didn't know where we were. Mom and Dad, we were. They're here too. A caring society. You know, when we grew up, neighbors took care of one another, and they took care of one another's children. We would be in other people's homes. Our parents didn't know where we were, but they know that we were well kept taken care of. A Trinidad and Tobago where, like Jillian performed, we love fun. You know, we're fun-loving. We like to line. We like to dance, as you're very clear about today. We love to celebrate. A place where you just have the best people. Everywhere I go, people who know Trinidadians or Tobagonians have the nicest things to say about us. We easygoing, we fun to be with, we kind, we generous, we just the most wonderful people. It seems that everybody loves Trinbagonians. I came back for a dream of a Trinidad and Tobago that could be. You know, we have oil and gas and other natural resources. We have all the resources we need to build a truly great model nation. And I'm not talking about copying Singapore or Ireland or anybody else who has successfully journeyed from third world. I'm talking about building our own model of a truly great nation, Trinidad and Tobago. But you see, people call me idealistic. Some might even call me foolish. I happen to believe that we still have all of the ingredients it takes. Despite what Afra presented this morning, I believe we have all the ingredients it takes to really build a truly great nation. But somehow, we've lost sight of that. Somehow, we've come to know ourselves as an unsafe society. A lawless, criminal society where lawlessness pervades and there doesn't seem to be any way to escape it. You know, whether it be gang-related crimes or drug-related crimes, murders, you see the statistics on robberies, rapes, incest, corruption, fraud at the highest level. You know, less than 6 months ago, our family went through a terrifying experience. It was around 8:30 on Sunday evening. We were home. My daughter and a friend were on our back porch, and a masked gunman snuck up on them and put a gun to my daughter's head. He then came through the house, gathered all of us up, tied us up, lay us face down on the floor. And for the 30 or 45 minutes that he took to rob us, we didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't know if anybody was going to be killed, if anybody was going to be hurt. It was the most terrifying, violating experience I've ever had in my life. And so it's no wonder that we all know that Trinidad and Tobago, nobody's safe. And you can't trust anybody. You can't trust the common man, you can't trust the businessman, you can't trust the teacher, you can't trust the priest, you can't trust anybody. White, black, Indian, Chinese, was it Syrian, Lebanese, mixed, French, Creole, red man, what? You can't trust anybody. The title of my presentation is, Do We Dare to Dream Again? Do we have the courage to dream again? You know, 50 years ago at independence, there was a dream that was alive in Trinidad and Tobago. There was a dream that was alive because people had hope. There was a dream that was alive of the freedom and self-determination to build a nation truly ours. Do we dare to dream like that again? We've come to look at ourselves as a divided nation. We have Indians versus blacks. We have UNC versus PNM. We have rich versus poor, have versus have not. They say Laventil versus Goodwood Park. Business and government versus labor. Power versus the people. We've come to know ourselves as a country in which everything is broken. Things don't work. Land and building taxes, or you go to the passport office or the licensing office, you go to the hospital, the port, the customs. A lot of things don't work. We've come to know ourselves a place where our politicians spend more time fighting one another than they spend on thinking about and taking actions for the better of our country. But it's not entirely their fault. We have a system that corrodes. We have a system that corrodes even the most well-intentioned people who enter into the ring of politics. You see, you have to hearken back to the injustices and prejudices of the past to understand the energy that is evoked between our political divide. You have to realize that our politicians can't help but attack one another. We come from a nation born out of slavery and indentured labor, serving colonial masters. And you know what? We've brought that past with us. We are doing unto one another that which was done unto us. But of course, we have our own Trini twist and style to it. We're not doing it exactly their way. Yeah? You like the wine? Do we have the courage to dream again? Do we have the courage to open our hearts to the potential disappointment of dreaming again? Can we stand for the future of our nation? I mean, truly stand, like Gillian Lucky stand. Can we stand for the future of this country? I think this is what we must really examine. Do we have that courage? Because you see, if we look at the courage it will take courage to, one, face and speak the truth. It'll take courage to face and speak the truth about the things that really don't work. It'll take courage to face and speak the truth about the past prejudices and injustices that have created and widened this divide that we have. It will take courage, ladies and gentlemen, to admit when we're wrong. Let me give you a few examples. Take the 1990 coup. What if the people who are responsible for the deaths of 24 innocent people could actually admit wrong and apologize to the nation and the family of the victims? What if the people who looted and destroyed property could admit wrong? And what if, ladies and gentlemen, what if those who are responsible for the fact that there has been not a single consequence for any of those actions could actually admit wrong? Then and only then would we begin to be able to heal from the deep wounds and scars from that awful crisis. Let's get a little controversial. It took some courage for our Prime Minister to admit wrong and apologize on Section 34. Right? The rushed proclamation. However, I think we all will agree there's probably still a generous amount of opportunity for others to have courage to admit wrong in that as well, eh? Or you take the cold, the hard court issue that has never been fully explained. I think this is a rich opportunity for people to step forward and demonstrate the courage to admit wrong. But will it happen? Do we have the courage that it takes to actually admit wrong when there's such big issues at stake? Well, let's see. It's something that I think that we will actually absolutely must work on. In addition to the courage to admit wrong, you're going to take even more courage and generosity to forgive. Yeah. Can we forgive one another for the past injustices and prejudices? Do you think the UNC and PNM camps will ever forgive one another for past prejudices and injustices? Do you think that we can, as a people, forgive one another for the discrimination that any and each of us have suffered, whether it's been at school, whether it's been in the workplace, whether it's been on a sports team, or whether it's been, between families? Those of us who have been victims of crime, those of us who have had crimes perpetrated upon us, can we forgive our persecutors? You see, and this one is hard. You see, until we do, our prison systems will continue to fabricate more hardened criminals. Our own commissioner of prisons has described our main prison as madness and a hellhole. I know that after we were robbed, was asked, well, do you want, if and when we catch this perpetrator, do you want him taken alive? Well, I wasn't expecting to be asked that question. I was astounded by the question, but I was even more amazed at my inability to answer the question. So searing was my rage still that, I knew I couldn't say, no, don't take him alive. I knew I couldn't say that, but I also couldn't say, yes. I just didn't answer the question. And if I can't answer, I can't forgive in that moment, what do we expect from a nation after 50 years of different forms of prejudice and injustice across different people? What do we expect? How are we going to get through? Well, I take a little solace, I take a little hope from South Africa. I take a little hope from South Africa because, after 40 years under the apartheid system, somehow Nelson Mandela managed to get that nation to start to forgive one another. If they can do it, then we must. So there probably is something we could examine and learn from that model that we would need to apply in Trinidad and Tobago. If we want to dream this dream again, we need to get connected, people. We need to get connected because deep down we all know we have the same dream for Trinidad and Tobago. We have a dream of a Trinidad and Tobago that is safe, that is harmonious, it's caring, and it's a Trinidad and Tobago that works for all of us. And so don't you all have a dream like that? Doesn't it look like that for you? Don't we dream of a Trinidad and Tobago where you could once again walk the street at night, sit on your back porch, enjoy the fresh air, line with people in your community without the fear of somebody coming and robbing you or attacking you or choking you or something? Don't we all long for that Trinidad and Tobago that's a harmonious Trinidad and Tobago, where our Indian children, black children, white children, Chinese children, Syrian children, Muslim children, where all our children are encouraged to play together and to grow up to respect one another, and maybe even to marry one another. Don't we all dream of a Trinidad and Tobago where this animosity and hatred that fills our political divide has been resolved? Don't we yearn for a Trinidad and Tobago that works? A Trinidad and Tobago where, quite frankly, the wealth of the country, the wealth of the country isn't squandered or embezzled, but it's actually used and invested to ensure that each citizen has a meaningful, sustainable job that they enjoy and an opportunity to improve their standard of living. Don't you yearn for a Trinidad and Tobago where, quite frankly, things work, where our public services are administered by professionals who do their job efficiently, love what they do? I yearn for that. Don't we all yearn for Trinidad and Tobago, where business, labor, and government actually have a strong working relationship for the fulfillment of a common vision for Trinidad and Tobago, where unions no longer have to fight to protect workers from exploitation, but instead they're a one party in a great tri-party conversation for how we can improve the standards of workers, how we can create new jobs that pay fairly, that make workers safe, and would allow workers to have an opportunity to grow and develop in their lives. Is that the kind of Trinidad we want? Huh? Yours not songing shore. I'm talking about a safe, harmonious, caring Trinidad and Tobago that works for all. Isn't that what we want? Yes. Well, there you go. There you go. Well, it's going to take some courage. It's going to take something from all of us to actually be able to get there. So I want to, people may say, okay, this is sounding a little hard, all the things I talk about that we need to get over, right? But maybe it's not so hard. Maybe it's not so hard. Maybe there's a way that we can create and cultivate an environment of responsibility and forgiveness. Maybe we can. Maybe it's as simple as figuring out where to start. Where could we start? Well, perhaps we could start with forgiveness. Now, forgiveness is okay, it's an interesting word, all right. Forgiveness cannot be demanded, right? Forgiveness is something that a forgiver has to grant. It's the forgiver's right. So how do we get forgiveness as a movement? Well, TED is an opportunity to share outrageous ideas, so I have an outrageous idea for us, okay? So I would like you to join me in starting a national wave of apologies. Yes, I said a national wave of apologies. Because here's what. It doesn't matter how big or how small, any apology has the ability to evoke the energy of forgiveness. And it's that forgiveness that we need. We need that forgiveness in Trinidad and Tobago to actually neutralize the pain and allow and set the stage for our dreams and hopes to come true. So I want you to start thinking of somebody. It could be your mother, your brother, your father, your daughter, your sister, your employer, your enemy, your friend. It don't matter who it is. Find someone and find something that today you could make an apology for. Start this wave with me. I know I'm making a big request. I know this ain't easy. I know it's hard because we don't like to apologize. Apologize is a sign of weakness. You're giving in to people who hurt you. But really, I think we all know that apologies come from a deep inner strength. And it's a real sign of strength to be able to apologize and realize that with an apology, you are unlocking the energy of forgiveness. So, I want to start. I'm going to start this afternoon. I want to make an apology. I want to make an apology to the perpetrator of the robbery at our home. I want to apologize for entertaining the thought of wanting you killed. And I hope that one day you can forgive not just me for wanting you killed, but also to forgive whoever's led you into this life that you've lived. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a small appeal. Let's please dig deep into our hearts. Let's all muster up the courage to dream that dream again, to be so bold that we will believe in a future for Trinidad and Tobago, a dream of a Trinidad and Tobago that is a safe, caring, harmonious Trinidad and Tobago that works for all of us, not just some of us. Thank you very much.